Hi class, welcome to our third week of the semester. This week, we are actually going to be submitted our communication theory paper, and we're also going to be taking our midterm. I quickly wanted to go over the midterm study guide, give you a little bit of information on the midterm. I also wanted to go over the rubric of the communication theory paper and just letting you know what to expect from this week. So really quickly, let's go over the midterm study guide. So our midterm study guide is conveniently placed over here, and our midterm will be multiple choice, true or false, kind of like the quizzes that we have been taking thus far throughout the semester. And basically one of the things that I wanted to go over is that if the term or if the information is not on the study guide that I have not listed it in the study guide here, then it won't be on the midterm. So I clearly only test you on the material that I have put on the study guide. And obviously, if it's on the study guide, then I want you to study it, and it will probably be on the midterm. If it's not on the study guide, don't even bother looking at it because I won't ask you about it. So I literally write down exactly what I want you to study. Your midterm is true, false, multiple choice. You can use your notes in your book to take your midterm exam. You have 60 minutes to take it and one attempt. So once you click on your midterm, just like the quizzes, once you click on your midterm, your time starts and you only have one attempt to take it. So our midterm is going to be on chapters 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, and 9. So the information that we have covered thus far. For chapter 1, basically, I want you to know the difference between the linear and the transactional model of communication and the different parts that are in the transactional model of communication. For chapter 3, I want you to tell me what self-perception is, the 3 steps that occur in self-perception, what is self-esteem, what is attribution, and what are the halo and horn effects. And lastly, what are some things that we can do to improve self-perception? For chapters 4 and 5, which deal with verbal and nonverbal communication, I want you to define verbal communication, differentiate between written and spoken verbal communication. I also want you to know the functions of verbal communication and what is nonverbal communication, the principles of nonverbal communication, and the different types of nonverbal communication. There are different categories, so I want you to be familiar with them. Lastly, for chapter 6, 8, and 9, basically, I want you to know the different steps of the listening process, the different types of listening that the book covers, as well as the different barriers that get in the way of our listening process. For chapter 8, I want you to know what a theory is and the different theoretical paradigms. In my last lecture for week 2, I did go into a lot of detail on the different theoretical paradigms that are in communication studies. So if you can go back and review my last lecture, that will be really helpful. And lastly, what I want you to do is define interpersonal communication and tell me what self-disclosure is. So again, these are exactly the topics that I want you to focus on. If it's not here, don't worry about it. I would highly encourage you all to just print the study guide, fill it in, answer the questions, and then have it next to you as you're taking the midterm so that it can help you kind of jog your memory. I think that will be the best way to study for the midterm. If you just print out the midterm study guide, you fill it out, and then you have it next to you as you are taking your midterm. So that's basically what I want you to focus on when it comes to the midterm. And again, your midterm is due on Friday, July 8th at 11:59 p.m. And you only have one attempt, 60 minutes to take it. So it's right here. Again, once you click on it, have 60 minutes to take it in one attempt. For your communication theory paper, I basically want you to submit your paper over here. It does have to be in PDF, doc, or docx format. And any other format, like if you try to insert a link from Google Docs, it will not read it. It will not read pages. It will not read any of that. It has to be in either a PDF, a doc, or a docx. Let me quickly go over the rubric of the paper. So this is the rubric of our communication theory paper. And basically for this rubric, I am looking at 4 different areas of study. One of them is basically the sources that you're going to be using for the midterm. Basically just the different types that you have, make sure that you have at least 2 credible sources, that the sources are MLA format, that you have works cited and in-text citations. So that is the first part. Like I was mentioning, for the first area, sources, make sure that you have at least two credible sources. A lot of you were asking me how I wanted the works cited be, the works cited is being done. It's an MLA format, and make sure that you do have those MLA format in text citations. For some reason you're not familiar with that or you're having a hard time, shoot me an email and I will provide you with a helpful link to Purdue OWL that will help you in how to create your in-text citations as well as your works cited. So that's 15 points. The format, make sure that your paper is a standard paper with 1-inch margins, Times New Roman, 12-point font, double space, that it meets those 3 pages requirement, meaning all the 3 pages all the way to the bottom. Make sure that your paper is proofread and it has very little to no grammatical or spelling errors. That's 10 points. The last 2 areas are the areas that are worth basically the most amount of points. The first one is the author and research. Basically, as you can see in the guidelines, I do have certain questions like telling me who the authors are, their background, where they come from, what field of study they're from. Because as as we've been talking about the semester in communication studies, there's different scholars that come from different theories, and those theories have been taken into communication studies. So not every single theory that we study comes from a communication studies scholar. So telling me who the author is, a little bit on their background, what field of study they come from, how did they come up with the theory, what was the paradigm that they were looking at, all of that. So that's out of 25 points. So make sure that you really are answering those questions that are in the guidelines with detail and with the sources that you're using. So that's out of 25 points. And the other 25 points are for basically the real life connection and the relevance. So again, another one of your questions in the prompt is connecting it to real life, telling me how this theory would look like in a real life communication setting. So you could use your own personal example, your own interpretation, or an example from media, television, or film to kind of demonstrate that. And also telling me the relevance of this theory for communication studies. Like I was previously mentioning, not all of these theories stem from communication studies scholars. Some are borrowed from psychology, anthropology, sociology, linguistics, different areas of studies. So tell me why this theory from another field has been brought into communication studies and why is it relevant for the communication studies field. So your entire paper is out of 75 points. I will be using this rubric to examine your paper, and I will be providing feedback to your paper as well. So try to submit your paper as soon as you can, as soon as possible. If you have any questions and you want me to look over your paper, shoot me an email. I will try to look it over as soon as I can. Remember that this is a holiday weekend, so technically we are not working on Monday, but if you send me your paper sometime during the weekend, I'll try to look it over if you want me to. Ask me any questions. I will also be grading your discussion post as soon as I can. I'm just waiting for it to be the deadline. I am actually filming this on Friday at 10 p.m. So I'm waiting for it to hit the deadline so that everybody has submitted their work by the due date so that I can start grading all of that stuff. And if you have any questions, let me know. But remember, you're taking your midterm this week and you're also submitting your communication theory paper. If you have any questions, don't forget to shoot me an email or attend my office hours. And I know that even though it is a holiday weekend, I'm still available for you. I might not be as fast as answering emails, but I'm still here. Hope all of you have a good weekend. Stay safe, and I will talk to you all next week.